Oh, you've really done it this time. I'm sorry, it was an accident, I didn't mean to. Well, I sure hope you didn't mean to crash the craft. I knew you would be the death of us. Okay, everybody, let's be rational here. The group turns their attention to Nathaniel. His expression serene in all the chaos. Nathaniel picked at his nails and, without moving his head, scanned the room. A faint smell of smoke was spinning in from the rear of the ship, and scarlet lights flashed relentlessly overhead. Kayahi rushed to the cockpit and flicked on the computer. A flash of light dances across the screen. A little red dot indicated that they were on a red planet. Kayahi taps on the dot, enlarging the image. A word in all caps appears on the screen. Corro. A cluster of brown shows that a marketplace is close by. Kayahi, where are we? Kai questions from behind her. Kayahi points to the marketplace. We are about a half-mile out of town. It should take us about 15 minutes to get there. Brooke bops over to the computer screen. What's a Corro? Kayahi takes her eyes off the screen. It's a planet, 27th from our sun's, second from theirs. Oh, Pandora messed up big time. Brooke's eyes widen as she whispers under her breath. Nathaniel and Ophelia trot over to the screen. You're not seriously implying we leave the craft? Ophelia eyes Kayahi, who's now seated in the large armchair that pairs with the computer. We don't have many other options. Nathaniel frowns, looking down at the screen. Kayahi swipes the screen, pulling up a map of the ship. 3 red clusters fade in and out on various parts of the ship. Looks like both engines are down, and there's a massive ding in the nose. No way we'll be able to take off without some repair. Pandora whimpers in the corner, sending a wave of exasperated looks through the group. Kayahi, if we find the parts, can you repair the ship? Kayahi chuckles at Nathaniel with an amused smile. Duh. Springing for her chair, she dashes down to the tail of the plane, and then disappears around the corner. Somebody has to stay here with the craft. Asia frowns in Kai's shadow. I agree, Kai nods, and I vote Pandora. Nobody protests, and 10 minutes later Pandora is waving at the rest of the group from the cockpit. You don't think they have iced coffee here, do they? Asia smiles as she skips along beside Kai. I mean, I'm only asking because we've been in space for a hot minute now, and we ran out of coffee 15 days ago. Ophelia rolls her eyes. Yeah, and I wonder whose fault that was. The jab put a damper of Asia's mood as she slowed from a skip to a walk. Nathaniel, caring very deeply for the happiness of Asia, moved the conversation to something else. Okay, crew, we need to get in and out fast. Keep your head down, and for the love of all things great, Brooke, don't cause a scene. He narrows his eyes at Brooke as she shoves water-powered fireworks into her pocket. What are you talking about, Nady? She looks taken aback. Nathaniel presses his lips together and walks on. Wow. Asia whispers in awe. After walking for half a mile, the crew makes it to the edge of the market. Hundreds of stalls and stands surrounded them. Deep violet and saturated scarlet linens covered the tops, providing minimum shade and protection from the sun. Merchants selling things the crew had never seen before. Orange berries covered in spikes, knee-high bushes that steady burned like a fireplace, and tapestries with pictures that moved with the breeze. Remember what I said? Nathaniel states before throwing put his hood, ducking down his head, and maneuvering through the crowd. He led them, not paying any mind to how odd and out of place they looked with their faces looking strictly down. Asia, of course, didn't pay any mind at all. She didn't like how the hood frizzed her curls, and she liked her face a bit too much to keep it to herself. Kai tugged at her sleeve over and over to remind her, but she simply shrugged him off. Brooke kicked at Nathaniel's heels because she knew it drove him mad, and Ophelia half-heatedly listened to Kayahi babble on about the ship's engines. The ground beneath their feet was a deep shade of orange. With every step, clouds of pumpkin-colored dust swirled around them. Brooke stopped kicking Nathaniel's boot, causing him to pause in his tracks. To their left was a slim stall with brick and dirt-colored hangings. The sign above the entrance was in symbols that none of them had ever seen before. Asia looked around the market, aloof and unaware of her surroundings. Kai tugged her back into the group before she wandered too far into the market by herself. Keahi, do you know what it says? Nathaniel asks. Yes, because I speak intergalactic alien. She crosses her arms and raises an eyebrow. Well then why are we stopping? Nathaniel crosses his arms and copies her face. Because my watch said so. She pulls up her sleeve to reveal a watch with the same map that was on the computer screen back on the craft. 6 tiny black dots clustered together next to a large green dot. Nathaniel sighs, how are we supposed to get the parts we need if nobody speaks the language? Keahi looked at him like he was mentally deficient. You really think I trekked us all out here just to have not planned? You know I basically run this ship, right? Her eyes pan around the group. Brooke bops her head in agreement with her sister. It just so happens that there's an outpost here, and the person in charge speaks English. Keahi tilts her nose up to the sky. You would know that if you read the manual on the craft. Nathaniel rolls his eyes. Whatever, let's just get those parts and leave. The group walks into the stall. Hi. Asia bursts in the store. Asia, shut up. Ophelia hisses. Asia sticks out her bottom lip as Kia clasps her hand and winks at her. Hello, anyone in there? Keahi whispers into the darkness. The only noise was her tapping on her watch. A basswood runaway? She stammers. What? Ophelia looks around the darkness. I'm pretty sure it's the code word. Keahi looks behind her. Nathaniel begins to question, but before he can, the lights flicker on and curtains close behind them. What brings you all here? A voice comes from behind the counter. We're looking for a craft engine. Keahi stammers. Nathaniel steps forward. Yeah, we are from Earth, and we crashed right outside of town. The woman behind the counter scoffs as she pushes herself out of her chair. What model? She doesn't make eye contact with any of them. I think it's a G27. Keahi replies. The woman rummages in the back for and comes out with a brown box covered with stains. Haven't seen a G27 in a while. Hope this works. She hands the package to Nathaniel before retreating behind the desk. Thank you. Asia smiles, dragging Kai out of the stand and into the light. Let's move, people. The group leaves town just like they entered it. Keahi lugged the box without help, and Asia and Brooke collectively asked to stop at 27 stalls. Which means Ophelia rolled her eyes exactly that many times. After they left the edge of town, Brooke started whining. How much longer until we get back to the craft, Keahi? Keahi scans the horizon and then checks her watch. We should be close. The watch says that the craft should be in sight, but it was nowhere to be found. Are you sure? Nathaniel questions in a hushed tone. Keahi opens her mouth to reply when Asia interrupts. What's that sound? Everyone's attention is turned to the sky when they notice a massive G27 craft flying overhead. Hey, that looks like our craft. Brooke points up into the sky. That is our craft. Keahi screams. Pandora sticks her head out of the window and waves at the ground as the craft speeds off. Later, losers.